Hello again to my lovely subscribers. I just wanted to quickly say thank you. There were 3 people who pretty much instantly donated some money to me on my Buy Me a Coffee page, and I just wanted to say thank you to them. They know who they are because they're awesome. It was just so lovely and kind, and yeah, so thanks. If anyone's interested in doing that, the link's below. But for now, these are all things that I've bought. And this is going to be quite a long video, I warn you now, because I've got a couple of things I really need to talk about, and I've tested quite a few new things. So, firstly, if you watched my spring video, you would have already seen this. This is Boum Savon by Jeanne Arthes. Fabulous bottle, as you can see. I got these little things in the hope that I wouldn't keep running out of space every time I do a video, but I think they've already got a layer of dust on them. I've had them for like a day. So this is Boum Savon, and this, it does, I double checked after that video, and it does indeed mean soap. So this is supposed to smell soapy. I think it's kind of a bit like a bubble bath, and the notes in this one are top notes of almond, floral notes, middle notes water lily, lily of the valley, base notes musk and jasmine. Does it smell like any of those notes? Not entirely sure. It just has a general, like, not screechy, not sharp, floral, bubble bath, clean smell. It's fresh, it's beautiful, it smells, it has like a kind of damp, freshly washed laundry smell about it, but without being like too detergenty. I absolutely love it. I love it. It was so comfortable. I wore it about 3 times this week because I only had 2 days in the office, and for the rest of this week I've been either working from home or I've just had time off because it's the Easter bank holiday weekend. I had an extra day on the Thursday, so I've just woken up in the morning and been like, I just want to smell like Boum Savon. I love it. I cannot recommend it highly enough. I got this one from makeup.uk. As I said in my other videos that featured this, I don't think this at all smells like Glow, which is its top comparison, I think. By JLo. I don't think this smells like Glow. I don't like Glow personally, the original Glow. I find it too sharp and too musky, and this is neither of those things. So I think if you want an affordable alternative to something like Maison Margiela's replica bubble bath, then maybe give this one a go. It's really pretty and I really like it. So yeah, I wore a lot of Boum this week because, to be honest with you, I filmed a little Boum collection videos. So anyway, that was the first one. And then the other thing I said I was going to try again is JLust by Jennifer Lopez. So I said I was going to try this along with Mad Love by Katy Perry, which is the thing that it's been compared to the most. So personally, they smell almost identical when you first spray them, but then JLust takes a real turn in a way that Mad Love doesn't. So Mad Love by Katy Perry is a kind of strawberry coconut ice cream kind of smell. Now that sounds amazing, and I really wanted to love it, and there are elements I love about Mad Love, but it just smells a bit screechy and cheap on my skin, and I don't know why, because I can get a slight kind of nose, kind of tingly vibe from the bottle, but it just smells worse on my skin, almost as if there's ambroxan in it or something, but it doesn't list any ambroxan, so who knows. But the notes in Mad Love are top notes of sorbet, strawberry, apple and pink grapefruit. The middle notes are floral notes, peony and jasmine. Maybe it's the jasmine causing me problems here. Base notes, coconut, musk and sandalwood. You definitely get a juicy strawberry sorbet kind of vibe. You definitely get a coconutty ice cream kind of vibe. But there's something about the flowers in Mad Love, I think. I'm just guessing that's what it is, that are just not working for me at all. So, on the other hand, JLust, which I was worried would be too animalic, too kind of musky for me, this one turned out to actually be kind of nice. So, as I said, it sort of smells almost, I mean, in typical Jennifer Lopez style, slightly soapy. There is a slightly soapy vibe about JLust. Can you actually see that? Let's get a little bit of angle on it. So JLust, the notes in this one are top notes of strawberry, apple blossom and mandarin, middle notes of vanilla orchid, white peach and jasmine sambac. Base notes, tonka bean, tolu balsam and musk. Now, you definitely do get that sweet strawberry at first, but the apple blossom kicks in quite quickly. And then the more it dries down, the more it kind of moves away from that strawberry ice cream kind of vibe that you get with Mad Love, and it moves into a vanilla orchid kind of smell, and it is quite musky, but then more and more tonka bean comes through. It does go I definitely in the mid notes get a little bit more jasmine than I would like, but it doesn't last. And I think when it also, actually, to be honest, the perfume didn't last on me very well at all, so I'm going to have to try it again in hotter weather. But so during the day, I tried Mad Love on one arm and JLust on the other, just to see how I felt. And Mad Love was the one I found uncomfortable. JLust is the one that I just kind of wanted to wear again, you know. So actually do this in this little order. So I think JLust for now is going to stay with me, and I'll see how I feel about it when I wear it in different seasons. Let's have a look. Oh my goodness, how many things did I wear? I wore too many. And then later on, just like in the very evening, because I knew this was going to get way too sweet for me to wear soon, I wore my Demeter blueberry perfume. So this one is the one that smells like blueberry muffins. So I don't ever read the actual description of it, which just says blueberry, because that is rubbish. So the notes that are for the Demeter Jelly Belly Blueberry Muffin is popcorn, blueberry, sweet note, sugar and vanilla. And I think that's what this smells like. So yeah, this is definitely within a few weeks, I can tell, because the weather's warming up, this is going to be too sweet for me. But I'm all ready to put it in a decant bottle. I'm going to just take a bit of it and put it in a nice bottle, because I don't need 125 mils, 120 mils of this. But I do think it's a really nice perfume, and it's kind of replaced the Britney Spears Fantasy, Midnight Fantasy for me. So that's that one. Oh, and then I know everyone will be interested in this. So this is Macaron Amande. This is Tea Time in Paris by Jeanne Arthes again. I've got a lot of Jeanne Arthes this time around. So this is it's just supposed to be like an almond macaron. It has got colours as if there's going to be pistachio in this. But it says almond pastry, delicately fruity floral notes. So here it lists almond and plum, heliotrope and orange blossom, milk and vanilla. Now, I quite like this one. Again, this is a terrible time of year for me to actually get this, because it's really, as you can imagine, incredibly sweet. So this is a Macaron Amande. I'm going to have to put that one down there because it's too big. So this particular perfume, let's have a spray of it. It's incredibly sweet, as you can imagine. It does smell like almond. But I think a lot of it, when it dries down, is a bit heliotropy. Yeah. Oh, it's really pretty though. So this really reminds me of the very deep dry down of Heliotrope by Reminiscence. So this is it's actually got the same kind of bottle. In terms of colour, it's got this same green bottle. Now, I didn't like Heliotrope so much because there's patchouli in it. There's like other notes in that at least at first I find a little bit jarring. I'm not too keen on how that perfume starts out, but I liked the dry down. But the dry down in that one was also quite close to HT Pivot Heliotrope Blanc. I think is it called Heliotrope Blanc or is it just Heliotrope? I apologise if I've got that wrong. But I have a little bottle of that. I don't reach for it much because sometimes I find that one a little bit too honeyed and slightly sickly. I think this one might be the one for me. I mean, I'm only going to be able to wear it at certain times of year for sure. It's actually a way bigger bottle than I would need. But I think if you want a beautiful, sweet, kind of pastry style almond paste, if you see what I mean. So I don't mean marzipan. I mean like frangipan, you know, like that. It's almost like an almond custard kind of smell. That's what that reminds me of. And then there's just quite a lot of powdery heliotrope in the base, but it's not quite as far down the powdery heliotrope as actual heliotrope by the Le Notes Gourmand range from Reminiscence. So this is also, I think I paid maybe £14 or something for this. The first time I ever saw it sold out immediately, and I couldn't ever get hold of it. But it came back onto makeup.uk. I got this at the same time I got Boum Savon, and so yeah, if you can still get it, try and get this one. I have a feeling because there's such a trend for like nutty gourmands in green bottles at the moment, that Jeanne Arthes will continue to kind of bring this out. It's totally worth having. If you don't like really sweet and sickly perfumes, then you won't like it. I'm only going to be able to wear this every now and again because it is very, very... Then late in the evening, I wanted to just try this little guy again. And honestly, I didn't really think about it too much first time I wore it, because I do really quite like the dry down of this. This is Ariana Grande. This is the little pen spray of God is a Woman. So this particular one, it does smell like cloud. I mean, like, what I am increasingly realising, because I've managed to get my hands on a few samples, and also I bought something from recently sent me a little miniature of, I think, Sweet Like Candy. I've got a sample of, I've got REM on the way, so I'm really hoping that is not just going to smell like cloud like all of her other perfumes. They all seem to either smell like cloud, or they smell like Ari and Sweet Like Candy kind of thing. Or they smell like a mixture of the two. Like everything I've smelt from her, in some way or another, they just kind of smell like the same perfume. They all smell like flankers of the same perfume, if you see what I mean. So this one, I hadn't really thought about it, but when I sprayed it, my first thought was, oh, this smells almost exactly the same as once the pear died down, to be fair. I was like, oh, this really just smells like my Red Seduction from Guess, which I love that perfume, you know. And then I was like, oh yeah, because that one kind of smells a bit like Baccarat Rouge, but without so much wood and so many kind of medicinal notes. So this time round wearing it, as much as I kind of appreciated the deep dry down, because I do like the pear and ambrette combo in this, and it's got quite a nice musk. I think I heard Sophie London described this as an ombre musk. I don't really know what that means. I shall have to investigate, but yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I'd still rather wear Guess Red Seduction than this. So yeah, just very, very random. The notes in this, by the way, are top notes of pear, ambrette, and middle notes of orris and Turkish rose, base notes of Madagascar, vanilla and sandalwood. And I honestly do get a bit of rose when this properly dries down, but it's mainly ambrette and pear, I think. But it's very, very, very sweet, as a lot of her perfumes are. So let's see. Then we have this guy. So I wanted to wear this to work. This is the only problem with me having these different this different setup, isn't it? Let me just move these around. So this is Obsession Night, a beautiful, glorious bottle. So lovely. You know what I'll do? Hang on, I'll just put these there on the back one. And then I can put this somewhere here. Lovely, beautiful, delicious. So I love Obsession Night. It's so pretty. It's just very fast becoming a favourite. I really, really like it. I like it more every time I wear it. The notes here are top notes of white flowers, bitter orange, angelica, bergamot and mandarin orange. So then we have middle notes of gardenia, jasmine, lily of the valley and rose. Base notes cashmere wood, vanilla, sandalwood, tonka bean. Angelica, white flowers, bitter orange, definitely. The middle notes, generally floral. I don't really think anything particularly sticks its head out there. You definitely get cashmere wood, you definitely get sandalwood, you definitely get tonka bean, and you definitely get vanilla. It's very sweet, but it's not sickly sweet. It smells classy. There is I don't like using the word mature for this particular one because I'm not really sure. It smells classy, it smells chic, it smells like a grown-up woman, but it doesn't smell old, it doesn't smell vintage. It's just lovely. I highly recommend it. I think it's a beautiful perfume. I really, really like Obsession Night. I think it's great. Okay. Now we can talk about something quite random. So I went to Selfridges this week. I walked through the perfume bit, and I walked past Kayali, and I was like, I am going to just spritz the Yum Pistachio Gelato onto my arm. Now, you would have had to be living under a bridge or something to not realise that everyone's been talking about this new Kayali perfume. I don't own any Kayali perfumes because I've only ever smelt one that I actually like enough to want, and it's really ridiculously expensive for how weak it is, and that is the Utopia Vanilla Cocoa, I think it's called. It's beautiful, it's beachy, it's coconutty, vanilla-y, but it has this, I think it's the pear blossom in it that just gives it this amazing smell, and I think it's gorgeous. I think that technically has patchouli in it, but I couldn't really smell it, unlike nearly every single other perfume from Kayali. I find them overwhelmingly patchouli heavy, but I also didn't think any of them smelled particularly strong. I just didn't like any of them from the sample pack that I got. But everyone's talking about this pistachio gelato one, and I didn't care about smelling it because everyone's talking about it. I cared about smelling it because it has a Turkish delight note, or at least it's called Lukum, I think you pronounce it. And I think that technically is Turkish delight in terms of like in other areas of the world. That's what you call it, but in the UK we call it Turkish delight. And I love pistachio. I like pistachio ice cream. I do like some of the sweeter notes, but I really liked the idea of pistachio and Turkish delight, and that is basically a perfume that I've wanted forever. I just want a Turkish delight perfume that has some kind of like baklava style syrupy pistachio in it. So I thought, I'm going to go and smell this one. It is so interesting to me, the different reactions people have had to this. There are some people who have said it's not strong at all, it's like a skin scent. Some people have said it's not sweet and it's not gourmand. On my skin, now I went in there, I sniffed it from the bottle. It was like being punched in the face with sugar. It is intensely sweet. I've rarely smelled anything that smells as sweet, and I have pistachio ice cream from Demeter, and I have this. It's equally like this sweet from the nozzle, like easily. I gave it 2 sprays on my arm. I walked out of Selfridges. I walked down Oxford Street, getting ready to go on the tube. I had a faux fur over that arm, and I had a silk mask on once I was getting on the tube. I could smell it through my faux fur and through my mask on the tube full of people. It is insanely strong. It dyed my arm. I took a picture, but you won't be able to see it on the screen, unfortunately, because of the lighting. But I had like a massive yellow patch where it sprayed my arm. Now, obviously, I didn't rub it in. I didn't kind of touch my wrist or anything. I just sprayed it. So just in its pure concentration, it was really strong on my skin, like crazy strong. And the fact I was wearing a faux fur will explain to you that it wasn't a hot day at all. So it's super sweet. It does smell like pistachio ice cream for a little bit, and then it smells like Britney Spears Fantasy. I don't know what it is about it. There's something about the florals and the cardamom that gives it like a plastic smell, and I quite like cardamom in perfumes. But this, honestly, it smelled like a pistachio ice cream version of Britney Spears Fantasy. And then the more it dried down, the more powdery and marshmallowy it got. Still smelled like Fantasy. Then by the time it had really dried down, I didn't really get any of that Turkish delight smell particularly. I did get cotton candy, I did get marshmallow, I did get whipped cream. I could definitely smell the cacao, but to me it came across as white chocolate. So when I say this is sweet, I've only ever used this to describe Cloud, I think, by Ariana Grande, and the way that reacted on my skin because it just smelled like sugar. Yum Pistachio ice cream from Kayali was relentlessly sweet on me. It was a never-ending sweetness that I found absolutely unbearably sweet. It's so interesting that so many people were like, this isn't sweet, it's really floral. Their skin must just really pull out the flowers in a way that mine did not. Mine smelled like Britney Spears Fantasy with a big dollop of pistachio ice cream. And, you know, I mean, there's white chocolate in that, so that's what it smells like to me. But it was even sweeter. Like, even sweeter, if you can even imagine anything sweeter than Britney Spears Fantasy. So yeah, I mean that was just a full interesting one. So yeah, I was really happy when I could get home and kind of wash it off a bit, because it was just insane. I could smell it over. I mean, I was wearing Obsession Night. I couldn't even smell that at all with that blooming Kayali one on. So yeah, I mean, for me, that was also really strong. So that's the first time I've ever smelt one of her perfumes and been like, damn, that's strong. So anyway, moving on. Then next day I wore American Cream by Lush. Now, I love this perfume. It's taken me a really long time to actually buy it, because it's one of those ones that I know is a staple of Lush, and to me, in my brain, I'm like, it just smells like a Lush shop. It sort of has that classic Lush smell about it. And so I was just like, oh, do I actually need a perfume of that? And then I was watching Paolo Bianca talk about it, and I suddenly thought, right, I need to finally get myself a bottle of this, because I just feel like it's been so badly advertised, because even Lush described this as like a strawberry milkshake, and on Fragrantica, the notes they have don't really look like they bear any resemblance to what this smells like, or, to be honest, what it says on the Lush website. So I don't know why they say milk and strawberry and honey. Some people might get that from it, but I don't really get that from this. So if I can just talk about it for a minute, because I do absolutely love it. When this perfume dries down, it is one of my favourite sweet smells, and I'm so glad I've got it. It's one of those things I've often put on when I'm in Lush shopping for other things, and I always enjoy it. But wearing it for a whole day and wearing it to work, I am obsessed. And I've been wanting to rewear this all week. I'm probably going to wear it this week coming. So, if we actually look at the ingredients, there's definitely vanilla, there's clary sage, there's benzoin, there's lavender, there's a tonka, basically, well, coumarin, but that's tonka. There's anise, there's a citrusy, rosy kind of smell called geraniol. There's a benzyl benzonate, which is fate balsamic, and then it says on the description of that you get like ylang ylang, rosewood and cinnamon, that kind of smell. And then there's oh gosh, I'm not even going to be able to say this, but there is some kind of compound that is powdery, woody, floral scent, similar to violet and iris. And that is what this smells like. I think it smells powdery. It's almost chalky at first. So it's like violet, lavender, iris. It's slightly aromatic. There's definitely citrus smells. There's definitely vanilla. But when this dries down, there's something about those notes, especially the violet with the tonka, that it smells like fondant icing to me. It's a beautifully, perfectly sweet level of cozy, sugary sweetness. It really, really makes me think of a slightly kind of herbal, floral, icing, like specifically like a fondant icing, or even like those little fondant sweets, like, you know, I don't know if you can even get them really on anything other than licorice all sorts anymore, but the white bit on licorice all sorts, that kind of sugary fondant. That's exactly what this smells like on me when it dries down. And before that, it's lavendery, slightly, mainly violety and irisy, floral, but with some kind of sweet note in that. I think you could kind of recognise it as being a kind of sweet berry, strawberry, fruity smell, but it's kind of not identifiable. But it's so pretty. When you first spray it, definitely smells like a Lush shop. Dry down, gorgeous sugary sweetness. So I love it. I'm really happy to have it back. I think just if you're going to wear it, or if you're going to try it, just go into it expecting a candied violet, because I think that's much more akin to what this is. Candied violet and iris. I think that's a more accurate version of what American Cream smells like. And oh my goodness, heaven. It's so heavenly. It's really like a fondant icing. It's so good. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when my mum used to make cakes, and she used to do the big fondant icing. She sometimes did people's wedding cakes. and you'd have candied violets on there. I mean, it's absolutely delicious. And candied roses, actually. So just candied flowers. That's what sounds like. Candied flowers on top of a kind of slightly dusty fondant icing. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I'm super happy to have it. So I hope Paolo Bianca gives it another go, and maybe just has to completely forget about the strawberry milkshake thing and just try and think of it as being like a sweet floral, because I think that's in really what it is. So then we have another Boum. So I always forget that I have this one, and like I said, I was doing a Boum video, so this is another strawberry perfume. I should spray it out because this one's quite light. This smells like a Herbal Essence shampoo or something, you know. This is the original Boum. Try and put it in the middle there. So the original Boum by Jeanne Arthes. The notes in this are top notes of sugarcane, strawberry and black tea. Middle notes of raspberry, peony, violet, rose and freesia. Base notes white musk, amber, sandalwood and cedar. Like I said, it smells like a really soft, lovely shampoo. It's got that kind of sweet Herbal Essence vibe where you might wash your hair and go, oh, I wish I had a perfume that smelled like that. This is the answer to that, because it doesn't smell too screechy in its kind of shampooiness, but you definitely get a very sweet strawberry out of this with the flowers in the background. It's really, really pretty. I don't think that any of these flowers are stronger than the other. I think they're a real bouquet. The black tea gives it like a watery freshness that I think is probably helping to stop it being too screechy. It's just a very easy reach, super pretty. It's probably like a really safe blind buy if you like shampoo-y perfumes. So I wore that one, and then, I mean, I've lost track of my days by this point, to be honest, guys, because like I said, I was in work for 2 days, so I know that I wore American Cream and Obsession Night to work, and that I don't know what else. These are all just spread out. And then, because I'd worn that Boum one, because I'd worn Boum Savon, I had started thinking about Born Lovely, because Born Lovely, let me just put that one there actually, beautiful. Born Lovely is another fresh, just got up or just got out of the shower kind of smell. So, I mean, generally speaking, when I say just got out of the shower, that is very much a way to describe a kind of fresh and clean smell, because when I get out of the shower, that's when I put on the perfume that I'm planning to wear for the day. I tend to wear these kind of fresh out of the shower smells, and I did that in inverted commas. I tend to wear those before I have my shower. So if I get up and I know I don't have to get immediately in the shower, so like on a day when I'm going to work, I get up, my alarm goes off, I immediately get up and go to the bathroom and do all my stuff, right? So then I will put whatever I'm wearing for the day on immediately, and then I might put something else on in the evening. But when I'm just at home and I don't have to get up and immediately get in the shower, this is the sort of thing I'll go for. And Boum Savon very much was that to me. So I thought, I'm going to try Born Lovely, and I'm going to just have a go at that one. I'm going to enjoy it because it's just so fresh and clean. I absolutely love it, and it does very much give me exactly the same feel as Boum Savon. They don't smell the same, but it's just the same vibe of that kind of fresh washed laundry still wet out of the machine, you know. So the notes here are peony, and every time, please forgive me that I always say freesia. It's because I don't normally like peony and I always forget this is peony. It's because it's not sharp. So peony, cassis, mandarin orange, middle notes freesia, orange blossom, honeysuckle, base notes cedar, patchouli and caramel. So it does have freesia in it. It also has orange blossom and honeysuckle, but I think peony and cassis are the things that you smell here. I don't smell much in the way of cedar, only a little bit. I don't smell patchouli, I wouldn't have recognised it. And the caramel just sweetens it up, but you wouldn't recognise it as caramel. So yeah, I mean, it's lovely, but yeah. Okay, so get this one out of the way over here. So then I said I would try this Replay Essential. And again, I mean, this is another one that smells like Britney Spears Fantasy. Who knew so many things smelled like Fantasy? So I tried it, and I do still stand by what I said, that this one, it does have a nice, how to explain it? It definitely does have a nice caramel dry down. but most of the time it just smells like fantasy. I don't think it's worth wearing something personally for me that smells like fantasy, because I've had it trying to find anything that smells like that I actually can get on with. So I don't really like the smell of fantasy. So it's not worth keeping it just for that caramel at the base. But if you like fantasy and you want something that's a little bit smoother, slightly different, not quite as kind of, maybe, don't want to sound rude, but as childish smelling and as cheap smelling as fantasy, this does smell like a more expensive version of fantasy, even though probably it's cheaper if you can find a deal. So this Replay Essential is top notes of green apple, sweet orange, cassis, Sicilian bergamot, middle notes lotus, freesia, hawthorn, sunflower, base notes caramel, vanilla, sandalwood, cedar and musk. Does it smell like any of those notes? I mean, I wouldn't have been able to tell you what was in this perfume. All I can tell you is it smells like fantasy, which smells like a fruity cupcake with white chocolate. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to keep this one. I don't think I need it, so I'm not really that bothered about it. So that one's going to get decluttered. But, I gave it a go. So it's another really pretty bottle, though. I really like these little essential bottles. They're really pretty. Well, Replay, I should say. So then I wore another Lush perfume. I just fancied it, so I wore this little tiny baby I've got of Confetti. So Confetti is it's another violet perfume. It actually doesn't smell a million miles away from American Cream, but it does smell a little bit more grown up and much more complex than American Cream. So the notes here are that all you get here, which I think probably explains it relatively well. You get violet leaf, rose oil, coffee, pear and sandalwood. I really get the coffee in this quite a lot, and it's a very dark, bitter black coffee. I definitely get violet, a lot of it. I get a little bit of pear, which gives it a slight juiciness, but because it's violet leaf as well, it's very green when you first spray this. So you get a dry, kind of not too sweet violet, a bitter black coffee, a juicy pear, which is sweeter. And then it starts to dry down into a really smooth sandalwood. Get a little bit more of the rose at that point, but I think this is still mainly violet. But then there's a sweetness that comes through that smells weirdly like candied almonds. So it smells like sugared almonds, like the ones you get at weddings. I really like Confetti. It's not as easy to wear as American Cream. American Cream is like a chuck it on anytime. Confetti is much more interesting. It's one of the most interesting coffee perfumes I've ever smelt. I think it's really nice, but it's definitely a bit more challenging when you first spray it. Once it's dried down, it just, like I said, smells a bit like dragée with a hint of violet. So it's so pretty. It's much closer to a Parma Violet sweet smell than most of the other most of the other Lush perfumes that have violet in. Although saying that, American Cream's kind of got a bit of it's got a little bit of that going on. But I really like Confetti. I'm really glad I've got. I don't need anything bigger than this tiny little 15ml bottle. I don't think you can get it in small bottles at the moment, but it might be one worth looking on eBay for if you're interested. It's really quite an interesting perfume. My husband told me I smelled nice when I was wearing this, so it's obviously not too challenging for him. Then we have yesterday, so we're on to Friday now. So Good Friday, bank holiday, first day that we had some sunshine. So I went out, my husband and I went for a little picnic with my best mate. So we went locally, and I wasn't too worried about how long this would last. So I thought I would try wearing this one. This is Rose Calisson by L'Occitane. So this particular one, this has notes of top notes mandarin, orange and nectarine, middle notes damask rose, May rose, orange blossom, base notes Calisson de air, are they air or O, and Virginia cedar. Those are little kind of marzipan iced biscuity things. So this one, it was about 14-15 degrees yesterday, and again, like, I'm not really, I think this one again needs a hotter climate in a way. I think it needs warmer weather. it was still just kind of a nectarine-y rose smell mainly yesterday when I was wearing it out and about. So again, this is going to go back into the cupboard. It's going to wait until summer. I'm going to try it again in summer and hope that a bit more of that sweetness comes out, because it kind of just smelled, I mean, I just smell a bit rosy. There's nothing wrong with that, but I tend to like rose smells that have something else. I like sweeter roses, to be honest, I think is what it really comes down to. So yeah, and it didn't last particularly long either. It didn't project a huge amount, and it's not massively strong, but like I said in my rose video, I did suspect that this needed like different weather. I think it's just a little bit too cold still for this one. And then, so when I got home on Friday, I was like, okay, I've worn that one for the day. I think I just want my comfort blanket. And because I'd been wearing all the Booms, I just decided to wear this absolute beauty. Oh my goodness, it's one of my most easy reaches when it's warmer weather. So this is another Boum. Let's put it this way. This is Boum Green Tea and Cherry Blossom. So Boum Green Tea and Cherry Blossom has top notes of tea, lemon and pear, middle notes cherry blossom, blackcurrant, rose, base notes peach and musk. You can literally smell every single note in this. You can definitely tell that there's tea in this. You get a real equal kind of mix of that cherry blossom and rose, I'd say. There's definitely lemon, but it's not too sharp because the pear is keeping it super sweet. Blackcurrant gives it a lovely kind of berry vibe as well, but just a subtle one. The musk really helps it clings onto your skin a bit more. And then the peach is like a watery, sweet, fresh peach. It's not at all like cloying or too syrupy. This is watery, it's fresh, it's one of my favourite perfumes. I think it's probably in my top 5 for life. I love it. So yeah, it was a nice way to finish the week, just to pull this one out again, because this will be one that I wear very regularly going forward, like because the weather's warmer. And it's funny sometimes, I forget it's a bit stronger when it's not as hot, the weather. It just kind of doesn't it doesn't necessarily feel like a perfume that you wear when it's not hot, you know. It's got that kind of vibe to it where you're like, okay, it's juicy, fresh, you know, it's that kind of perfume. But it's just lush. I could just wear it all year round. I do wear it all year round. I love it. It's one of my favourites. I think it's delicious. So yeah, this was my weekly thing. I'm not entirely sure how well this works. I might have to rethink it, but I gave it a go. I gave it a try. And this is my lovely collection of delicious things that I've worn this week. I'll see you guys next week.